Hello, welcome to Chris Sakrans, and this video will be about Ryzen 7's 5800X. And if you have one or planning to buy one, most probably you've read some reviews about its high temperatures, and it's true. I have one and I'm experiencing them. But there's this one user from Reddit, and he posted that he had an exchange with AMD's director of technical marketing, whatever that means. And the exchange went something like, he asked Robert if high temperatures with the 5000 series processors are normal, and Robert said that with 5950 and 5900 and 5800X's temperatures reaching up until 90 degrees Celsius, and with 5600X reaching until up to 95 degrees Celsius are to be expected. Well, that's how the exchange went as per the user. But as for an official statement from AMD, I can't seem to find one. If you guys know something about that or know the link in regards to AMD's official statement about high temperatures for the 5000 series, please feel free to share in the comment section. And anyway, for me, I can't seem to find one. So as for the Reddit user who made that post, maybe take it with a grain of salt. But anyway, I do have a 5800X, and I am experiencing high temperatures with it. During idle, I'm getting 55 degrees Celsius right out of the box, and 90 degrees Celsius during gaming, benchmarking, stuff like that. With load, I'm getting 90 degrees Celsius. Now, this video will really be for those who are planning to upgrade to a 5000 series processors, or maybe those who already have one who wants to do something about the high temperatures. But if you're still planning to buy one or planning to get a 5 or this particular 5800X processor, I'm pretty sure you're watching a lot of YouTube videos about it, and to be honest, 5800X is not really getting a good rep right now. But you also have to consider that most of those videos are pertaining to gamers. In regards to gaming, yes, definitely. 5800X compared to 5600X, the performance increase is really negligible. But if you'd be using the computer with, like, say, video editing, like for me, for example, I was able to render a 30-minute, or rather 5-minute 4K 60 FPS video with my 5600X for 28 minutes. But with the 5800X, I was able to finish that in 11 minutes. So that's more than 10 minutes reduction in time, right? And for some people, that could be important, really. Now, all I'm saying is, if you won't really be using your computer mainly for gaming, and you can't stretch your budget for additional $100 more to get a 5900X, then yeah, 5800X won't be that bad in that particular situation. Right out of the box, you get very high temperatures, but again, as per specs, it could tolerate that. But if you could just somehow tweak it a tad lower, you could lower the temperature, and two, you could increase performance or performance score. But do take note that right out of the box, with PBO enabled, you'd experience stable operation with your computer. You'd have high temperatures, yeah, but it'll be stable whether you have the AMD or the motherboard's performance limitation set. You won't have any problems. You'd have high temperatures again, yeah, but at least it's stable, right? This video again will be more about trying to lower the temperatures or the temperature while getting better performance out of it. And so we will be trying to customize our BIOS settings in regards to the PPT, TDC, and EDC limitation and its voltage curve. Now, changing voltage curve, I'll get into that more later on. Now, in regards to voltage curve, most probably you guys have seen this in a few threads or a few videos already, but it's pertaining to, try to imagine a fan, the PC fan or the case fans, right? We set a curve for every temperature, like for example, if temperature hits this much or this much, you'd have to increase my fan speed to whatever amount. If it's this much of a temperature, fan speed should be like this. So you're trying to set a curve, right? And in regards to voltage curve manipulation, manipulation, you're trying to set the whole curve of it and not really trying to specify a specific voltage value. So this will work better for most amateurs out there, and it worked for me, and that's what I'll be covering in this video. Now, in regards to determining what the reference values are, like we'd be changing the values, right? Customizing it, right? Now, you'd want to find out what your, where is it? What your PPT, TDC, and EDC reference values are. The way I did it is I have a monitoring software, Hardware Info 64, and I ran a stress test. You could do the same if you want to. You could run a stress test right out of the box, run the processor with PBO enabled, and try to determine your PPT, TDC, and EDC value. With my current configuration, the maximum PPT I'm getting right now is 105.9 watts. For the TDC, it is 76.35 amperes, and for the EDC, it's 164.59 amperes. So I tried to determine the maximum, what those maximum values are, and I use that as my reference value. You could do the same as well if you want to. And that's in regards to the PPT, TDC, and EDC. Now, as for the voltage curve has limitation as well. You can only set it to plus 30 or minus 30. And every count will change the setting to 3 to 5 millivolts. And you cannot just set it right away to negative 30 and be done with it. Your system may not be stable to run at that such low curve, right? So, and do take note, these values, you cannot just copy my values right away and hope you'd get the same results as I do. Every processor vary, so it'll need a bit of testing for you to figure what the stable values are. In my case, it took me like 4 or 7 days for me to really determine that my system is really running stable at those values. So you might experience the same way, so don't be frustrated. You're not the only one. And yeah, before I jump to how to set those settings, I'd like to show you the results first with my benchmarking results with different voltage curves. Here are the results. Let's start with the benchmarks. If you could see on the right side, we have the custom curve, which I currently have on my system right now. And I started off with a PBO Echo minus 10, minus 20, minus 25. I didn't bother putting minus 30 in here because I was actually able to get very good CPU-Z benchmark scores, but when I ran Cinebench, it wasn't stable, so I didn't include it in this benchmarking result. And as for the temperatures, here, running on eco mode's the best or the easiest way to do things. So if you're not really comfortable in tweaking your settings, you could simply just stick to eco mode and you'll do just fine. Oh, and by the way, if you guys could notice, I'm actually getting higher temperatures with my custom curve when compared to -25 and -20, right? Again, I'm getting more stable performance with this current setting, number one. And number two, I'm actually getting better performance score with these settings as well. So there you have it. Before I show you how to change those values or do those configuration, I want to share you this software here. It's AMD Ryzen Master. I use this to determine my 2 fastest or preferred cores. When you first install this, most probably you'd be in this window here. Just click on Advanced View. After that, go to Cores section. Right now it's set to OC. It's showing the 2 fastest core. This one being the fastest. This one the second fastest. And if you switch to OS, it'll show you the preferred cores by Windows, which is Core 1, Core 6 as well. Now, why is this important? I'll be showing it to you later because I reached the point where changing the... Oh, by the way, in my slide earlier, I mentioned custom curve. What I meant by that was I changed the values per core. I changed the voltage curve per core opposed to all cores. So when I say custom curve, that's what I meant by that. Or rather, the results I showed earlier, those settings are with voltage curve for each core has been changed. All right, and now, for me to determine what the first core, because you'd have to start somewhere, right? In my case, I started with the first 2 cores, the preferred cores, and the software I use to help me out is this one here, which is, it's telling me it's Core 1 and Core 6. Now with some motherboards, it'll show you cores. Oh, I could show you guys. 1 second. Here you go. My software monitoring tool is Hardware Info 64. You could do it in 2 ways. Let me reduce this one. There you go. Where was I? Alright, so with AMD Ryzen Master, I was able to determine my 2 preferred cores. But you could use this one as reference as well. I showed you guys earlier how to determine the TDC and EDC, right? These are the maximum values here. Maximum value, it's here. Now during stress testing, you'd want to take note of that. I'll explain later. Now, to determine what core is currently being utilized, you could use the core clocks here. You could notice here 450, 4825. So using this as reference, we're able to determine that core 2 and core 3 is the least utilization, if you know what I mean. There are times that you, like, let's use AMD Ryzen Master as an example. Core 0 and Core 5 should show the highest core clock since they're the ones being preferred, right? But again, that's not always the case. Sometimes you could see here Core 4. Actually, there was this one time my preferred core is Core 0 and 5. That's automatic. but my Core 2 and Core 7 was showing high utilization as well for some reason at that time. And again, you could use this one as reference. You could use the power as reference as well. This could help setting your power limits as well. The Core 0 here is 10 watts. The Core 5 here is 9 watts. And the rest are pretty low. So that only proves the point that Core 1 and Core 6 is being utilized or being preferred, right? Now, that's that. With AMD Ryzen Master, this is a good tool as well for using to overclock your processor and your RAMs, your memory. I actually use this. I try to determine what the initial values are before I switch to BIOS. So, pretty handy tool. I don't want to go into overclocking, but I'm not that great in overclocking still, and I don't even know how to explain it myself. So, next time maybe. Now, let me show you how to set those configuration. Let me just restart this computer real quick. Shouldn't take a while. So, it took a while. Anyway, now I'm in my BIOS settings. By the way, the motherboard I'm using right now is an Aorus X570 Pro Wi-Fi. Obviously, you may have a different motherboard, but it's basically the same. What you want to do is go towards or go to where it points you towards AMD overclocking. This one here. And first, if I'm not mistaken, your PBO may be enabled right away, but it'll show you enabled only. What you'd want to do is switch to advanced, and it'll show you PBO limits. Right now, I'm switched to motherboards, to motherboard limitation. You'd get disable. If you set disable, basically what you're telling it to do is have AMD handle it. With motherboard, you're letting the motherboard handle it. With manual, you're the one handling it. In my benchmarking result, I actually forgot what I actually used. Anyway, I showed you guys how to get them. At first, I used disabled, then motherboard. I wasn't getting what I wanted, the temperature I wanted. I switched to manual. Now, I showed you how to do it earlier. I used Hardware Info 64. I determined what the maximum values are during stress testing. And I used those values as my reference, and I placed them here. But in my case, I'm working fine with motherboard, so I'll stick to this one. And then, go to Curve Optimizer. When you open this one, it will default to all cores. It will default to all cores with a positive setting set to 0. What you'd want to do is, using all cores initially, switch to negative and work your way up. Start with 5, 10, 20, and 30. 30 being the limit, negative 30. Now, if you reach negative 30, good for you. In my case, with negative 30, my system starts crashing. So I stepped back a notch. I went back to negative 25. At first, I thought everything was fine. And until one gaming session, intensive gaming session, my system crashed for the first time. I took note of that. My system crashed the second time, took note, and third time. That's when I decided to switch to per core. When I switched to per core, again, I used AMD Ryzen Master to determine what my preferred cores are. And I was able to determine it was Core 0 and Core 5. Using that software, I got Core 1 and Core 6. With this one, it's Core 0 and Core 5. And negative 15 and negative 15. And the rest set to negative 20. And I'm able to get good results. Actually, I was able to get better results with Core 0 and 5 set to 15, Core 2 and 7 set to 20, and the rest to negative 25. I'm getting better results with that, a bit lower temperature, and a bit. So I think oh yeah, I tried mining with it using a nice hash. I tried mining with the processor. It hang in the first 15 minutes, and I decided to stick to this one. I don't have the time. I'm pretty busy past few days, so I don't have the time to tinker with the values. So these are the values I ended up with. All right. So that's that. And to recap, so Ryzen 7 5800X is more for those people who can't afford the additional $100 to get the 5900X. It's pretty good for an 8 core when you're doing video editing. Well, that's the only thing I tested it onto. But if you just be using the computer for gaming, stick to 5600X. If you have the budget, jump to 59 or 5950X. So that's that. And just a reminder, changing the core, the voltage curve, it's pretty harmless. But if you're not comfortable with it, but you're pretty irked out with a high temperature, you could maybe lower it down to echo mode during gaming and just switch or turn the PBO back on when it's important, or if you need that extra push. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys find this video helpful. I may have mispronounced, or you might take what I said the wrong way. If any confusions there, just post it in the comments below. And if you guys know the better option, again, please share it in the comment section. And yeah, hope you like this video, and see you in the next one.